macro and formulas together. Now here's the deal. We have a data set. Records are in rows. Now I have done a few other recorded macro videos where we have a bad data set and we have to do all these things to get it into a good data set like this. Now good data set because you can sort and filter and do all pivot tables and stuff like that. But this person asked, this is at my college, it says, I have this set. I need to take Steve and Chin, combine those, put it in one cell, and then take address 1 and 2, combine those, put them into one cell, and then take Seattle, Washington, or whatever the city, state, and zip, combine those and put it into another cell. So this is a reverse. We're going from a smartly set up data set to a data set up in a column without field names. All right. If we're going to do a macro, we have to make sure you have the developer ribbon. Now I have my ribbons all squished up. The screen, I have it restored down very small. But you do need this in 2007. You'd go to the orb and then to the options. And very first category on this side, there's a checkbox over here. But I'm in 2010. You actually have to go to Customize Ribbon now and go over, and there's a bunch of ribbons. And by the way, it's awesome. You can customize ribbons and add things. But then you'd have to check this. All right, and point number 2. This video is going to require that we use this button right here. Now, by default, it is turned off. That means this is the relative cell reference. When you don't see orange around it, it means the movement of your cursor during a macro or recording absolute. So if I click in A1, it records in the macro. I just clicked in A1. B4, it clicks in B4. But when you click this on, which we're going to need here, if your cell is right here and you click here, it always moves 2 cells below, no matter where your active cell is in the worksheet. So that's very important that we have that turned on. All right, you ready for this? Third important thing for this particular macro, we need to make sure our cursor starts in the right place and ends in the right place. Not only that, but when you run it, it better be in the correct location. Now, the correct location is it needs to be in the first field of the first record that we're going to correct or fix or rearrange. So there it is. All right, now we can turn our macro on here. And another important thing I failed to mention, in 2007 and 10, you got to use XLS M. M is for macro. .xlsx will not work. In earlier versions, it didn't matter. You could record a macro. All right, I'm going to click here. I'm going to call this rearrange data or something like that. I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut. I'm going to hold the Shift key so it's Control and Shift. F for fix, say. In this workbook, I don't want to store it in the personal, and then some description like I probably spell all those words wrong. I'm a terrible typer and speller. All right, now when I click OK, it's going to start recording. Luckily, I had already started in the right place. That's being recorded as the active cell. Now, since I'm in relative mode, when I highlight the 4 rows below, it says in the macro, please highlight the 4 rows below, no matter where that cursor was. Right-click Insert. Because remember, we need to take data, combine it, and put it vertically. Now, the first thing, all 3 of these cells we're going to do here are formulas to get everything in the right place, and then we're going to paste special values. Not only that, but one of the formulas will have to decide between different types of data and then add a word wrap if something happens. But our first formula is easy. We need to combine, so we click that. And join, ampersand, Shift 7, double quote, space, double quote, that means a space, ampersand, and last name. Now what this did is it joined 3 things. Stuff in the cell right above, a space, and stuff in the cell one above and one to my right. Enter our next formula. Now this one's going to be tricky. If equals if, and here's the deal. Some of these records have nothing here, and some of them have something. This room 33 has to be in the same cell joined, but on a different line. So we're actually going to, in our formula, have to decide. If there's nothing here, we just want address 1. If there is something here, we're going to have to join these 2 things and put a hard return between them, which is, we'll use the character function. Character 10 means hard return in a formula. So you ready? If the address 2 equals blank, double quote, then what do we want? All we want is address 1. Otherwise, what do we want? If this is not blank, we need this, ampersand, and then character 10. That is a hard return. Ampersand this. All right, so got it? Right now, it's going to, for this particular record, it'll just put this in the cell. But when it gets down to room 33, it's going to take both of these things and put a hard return in between them. All right, close parentheses. Control Enter. I actually should have hit Enter because we had one more formula to do. Now this one equals this many up and this many over. Ampersand, double quote, space, double quote, ampersand. I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to copy this since I'm such a bad typer. This, Control V, this. Control Enter. Now, we have our three things, exactly what like we need, but we can't leave those formulas there. We're going to highlight these, and there's lots of ways to copy, Control C, paste special values. I'm just going to do this way. How about right-click the edge of the dancing ants, right-click, drag away, and then drag back. That brings up a special menu, and then copy here as values only. There's a great new keyboard shortcut that I'll show you in another video. Mr. Excel showed in some of his videos for the new paste special values, but not here. All right, so we got it. We still have a few things left to do. We need to get rid of this record. So I'm going to click, and when I right-click delete, it's all done relative, so I'll always delete the current record. So I'm going to delete this. Totally important. This macro, we had to consciously start in the right place, and we have to consciously end in the right place. Because remember, wherever the macro started, when we started, it was the first field, first item, first record, right? So that's where we started. That was the active cell. So we have to end there. So when we run the macro next time, it'll do it to the right record. All right, I'm going to click Stop right here. Now our big test is, before we do our test, let's go look and see if it got recorded. Alt F8 is the keyboard shortcut for a list of macros. There, it looks like it's there. We can click Options. We can see our name, our keyboard shortcut, our description. We can click Edit. Ooh, there's the Visual Basics window. We can see our workbook right there. We can see that a module got inserted, and there it is right there. We can look at this and see things like offset. See, it didn't record select row 3, 4, 5. It says offset 1 below, and then it went down 4 rows from there. We can see all of these. These are this is our selection, but look in our formulas, relative cell references. This is not A1, A2, B3 in recorded VBA. It does row. I'm going to -1, so I want to subtract 1, which means go up. And in column, it means add 1, so that means go 1 to the right. So you could look through this if you want. Finally, we copied paste special values, deleted a row, and finally our active cell.offset add 4 rows. That's when we actually clicked in that record 4 rows below, so when the macro started next time, it would start in the right place. All right, I'm going to close all this. Let's try it. Control Shift F. Woohoo! Control Shift F. I can't believe it's working. Look at that. Control Shift F. I'm going to just do all those. We got them all done. By the way, in this workbook, there's lots of practice sheets. So when you mess up, because usually when you record macros, you mess up. But wait a second, what's going on here? Oh, let's do a couple house cleaning things. We did the 1,000 records or whatever. I'm going to delete the rows, which I should have done in the first place. I'm going to click here. That selects everything. And then I'm going to double click that best fits all of the columns, and then double click and best fit all the rows. But wait a second. It doesn't look like our addresses. Uh-oh. Looks like we have a problem here. 10 13th Street, room 33. Oh, that character is actually in the cell. The information about word wrap is in the cell. Remember when we did character 10? But we actually have to word wrap the whole column. So I went to home and then right there. And now we can see, wow, it worked just fine. Here, we joined our 2 bits of data. Here we joined our 3. Here it got just one, but look at that. Here it got 2, that if function, you remember, and it got a hard return. All right, that's a little bit of fun with recorded macros and formulas. See you next trick.